I'd like to welcome everyone to the regular meeting, Moose Lake City Council for Wednesday, September 9th, 2020. And I'd like to start with a pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank everyone for coming today. And the first item is the agenda. Do we have any corrections or additions from the council on the agenda? Hearing none, there are two from under new business, number 6. This would be 6G. It would be the Medora quote. That's one of the handouts that you have in front of you. Under 6H would be the Election CARES Act resolution. And Katie will explain it when we get to that point. Other than that, any other corrections, additions? Hearing none, do we have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Have a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under consent agenda, 2A minutes. None. And I did explain to Katie if she needs help, she can ask Paula to.
I got help now,
Okay.
but no,
If you can, if you need to use her,
Yeah,
she's
we-
available.
I'll be working on it this month. I just wanted to focus on the budget.
Okay, no problem. Under 2B, financial reports, number 1, the city accounts payable for August 2020. Number 2 is the city financial statements for August 2020. And number 3 is the liquor store profit loss statement for August 2020. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the financial reports?
So moved.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 3, public comment. This time is reserved for comments from the public on matters not listed on the agenda. Please keep comments to 3 minutes. If we have none today, so we move on to number 4, departmental reports. 4A, the police chief, department report for August 2020.
Mayor, members of the council. For August, we had a total of 340 calls for service. 3 of those calls were for DOC and 1 to MSOP. In addition to the calls for service, we spent an hour on MSOP calls and 2 at ECRC. Our self-initiated for the month of August, we had 103 extra patrol, 92 traffic stops, and 26 community engagement events. We responded to 15 assists to other agencies and 85 other calls for service, along with 19 medicals. So again, very similar to the other summer months at 340 calls for service. As some of you probably noticed, the large presence of ATV traffic again over the holiday weekend, with 1 fatal just on the outside of town here. Just want to let everybody know that we're still in the process of moving forward of trying to control some of this activity, but yet let it bring in revenue and stuff for the business owners here. We have another meeting coming up September 14th with the ATV clubs, which has also been brought down to the head of the state ATV organizations where they reach out to the legislators and everything, and plan to be at this meeting as well. Members from the DNR and the trails, a lot of other entities are getting involved with it, with the 2 ATV clubs from here. So when they were reaching out to the different ATV organizations, it seems like a lot of people are looking at to see what we're going to do here, because everybody's having the same issue in a lot of these small towns around Minnesota. So we'll try to get some things moving and put into place have things a little bit better prepared when we get into the next season. But yeah, there was a large activity, but there was a lot of enforcement as well. I know our department's been making some stops over primarily the weekends when we see most of them. I know the DNR was out, I know with one of their officers alone stopped 50 of them this weekend with several citations as well. So it's just a huge number, and it's different people for most every weekend, so you gotta re-educate, but I think we'll get things put into place for next season.
Darren, can I
yeah.
ask you, where and when will that meeting be?
It's gonna be September 14th at the Moose Lake Police Department. And I know I've been in talks with Kelly Lake from the Sheriff's Department, and she's going to be at the meeting as well. I do see where the county has done some changes when you go on 61 South Moose Lake with the widened shoulder there. That's beneficial too, just so even those things like that keeps them off the highway a little bit more. It was nice to see that was put in. And I know they've been getting the same amount of calls and complaints that we have. And over the weekend, I was getting emails from people reporting things as well. And the direction to everybody that's listening is, I wouldn't just call the Moose Lake Police Department, because most likely they're going to be out and about, that they need to call the Carleton County Sheriff's Department dispatch so that they can dispatch our officers to the call. Otherwise, it might be hours before they come in and see that on the phone. So, and yes, a lot of times it's hard because, you know, they call us and they're going to be gone, but if we know the direction they're going and a group and a description of some of the ATVs, we can probably get them stopped somewhere down the line. And again, for the most part, it's been minor offenses, but a lot of them are just driving right down the middle of the lane and going through all the stoplights and stuff and on a state highway, and they can't be doing that. So, other than that, though, kind of, I guess you could say it somewhat good note. One of our officers was involved in a life-saving incident where they did CPR and brought the person back. So I don't know the final condition as of today with that person, but they were life-flighted out, and so I'm going to be putting them for a life-saving award for that. One of our part-time officers made an assist to the state patrol out on I-35 of a party driving the wrong way on the freeway at high speeds, and finally got him stopped. And this guy's 15th DWI. So, but other than that, I sent you guys the pie chart again, just a little bit of a breakdown on our calls for service, and they're almost identical as the other 2 months of the summer. So nothing's really changed, much on that end. And I think you got some other stuff in the agenda about the run coming up later, so I'll leave it for that. But other than that, for the police department, I think that's about it. Unless you guys have any questions for me.
That's a lot of calls, 340?
Correct.
That's a lot. Thank you.
Yep.
Pass it on to them, please.
I will, yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yep, thank
Great
you
job
guys.
on the enforcement piece too. That's the most citations I've seen Moose Lake write in any 1 month. So that's amazing. And it was well deserved for the people that are driving like that.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. Thank you guys too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public Works Superintendent Report.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, busy month. We're spread pretty thin. We're helping out in a few different areas that we normally wouldn't be doing, but we're spread pretty thin, and we're doing a good job. So we're a small crew, but we're doing what we can do. So water department distributed 4.2 million gallons of drinking water in the month of August. Hydrant flushing will take place at the end of this month, so we'll get them complaints. You'll have dark water, you'll have a little air here and there. It'll happen the last week of September. September 28th through October 2nd is when it's going to happen. So any questions, feel free to give me a call, Public Works Department, whatever we can do to make that task a little bit more
Enjoyable?
Yes, enjoyable. It never is, but that's the way it is. Our goal is we don't break anything, which hardly ever happens, but we try. So, sewer department collected 17 million gallons of wastewater in the month of August as well. Treatment system, we're going to talk about that a little bit later. The manhole on Lakeshore Drive, we discussed at the last meeting. That's kind of still.
Haven't heard anything about it
Okay,
yet.
so we're just sitting tight on that one. The link for the sewer lining that was requested last month to be put on the city website was sent to Rory there. So I don't know. Yeah, he said he wasn't sure if he'd got me yet, but Ed just got it over there last week, so.
Thank you.
Yep, not a problem. Street department pothole filling as always. Once a month we go through and do that, just kind of take a sweep through town. We work on lists a lot. People call, we get a complaint, write it on a list, we get half a dozen stops, we hook the trailer up and go. So feel free to call them in, let me know, let all of us know whatever we can do. Seems to go better that way. The gravel, alley streets, everything else we have there, the shoulders, they were all shaped up here a couple weeks ago. They were looking good. 25 new stop signs were installed here 2 weeks ago. That was brought up at the last meeting as well. That 25 went quick, really quick. So, but they're gone. I mean, I can definitely get more with a phone call. So if that's something we want to do, we did go through them basically the worst condition and non-reflectability that was put on the sign. So now they're reflectable, now they're nice and pretty and shiny and they're big and they're good. So along with some of that, some of the right of way was cleared back a ways around a lot of stop signs. We have a lot of stop signs in this town. Just for what it's worth, there is a boatload of signs. I'm not even kidding. There's a ton. Other than that, if you see some more, reach out to me. Let me know which ones are ugly or whatever, because I know we've missed a lot. But we did 25 in like a day, and yeah. So yeah. Other than that, cemeteries, the mowing, the weed whipping is good. Starting to slow down a little bit. We're doing some more grave filling, straightening some things out there, getting a few things squared away. Starting to possibly start thinking we'll get wrapped up for winter. We don't want to say the W word, but it's reality. So one other thing I want to mention too, the 16th of September, that's the last day all flowers, shepherd's hooks, plant hangers, trinkets, whatever on grave sites need to be removed. If they're not removed, they will be thrown away. It's right on the sign at the cemetery, it says the 15th. Last year we gave an extra day, just like we will this month or this year as well. And yeah, so it will be set around the pump house for a week, and then people can go through them, and after that, then they're gone. So, fair enough. Any questions?
Catch basin. That was just done.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, we put a catch basin in last week. It went well. Yesterday. I'm sorry, it was yesterday. This week is just going by. Yeah, it's in, it's done.
It'll be patched.
They're gonna pour concrete tomorrow night. We're going to patch next week.
And then with that, they're gonna also patch the corner of Hickory and
Fifth Street as well.
Fifth Street.
Yep, there's a pretty good patch up there
Yeah.
we're gonna do, so.
So
Yeah, we're gonna kind of try out something new here. We're gonna rent a roller from the county for quite reasonable, very reasonable, and start doing this ourselves. So it's one more thing that a small crew is gonna have to do, but I'll do it.
save
It's
a
okay.
boatload of money. Boatload.
A ton.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable
Totally
how
good.
a patch is so expensive, so.
You did talk about concrete briefly. I have been walking around quite a bit throughout the city, and there's a few sidewalks that are heaved about 6 to 8 inches. If, I know that you have a million things on your list, but if you could get a few of them done
Where
before
are they?
winter. Well, the one that I was thinking on was Fifth Street, I think, between Cedar and Douglas. There was at least 6 inches on the end that someone's gonna wipe out.
So we do have a sidewalk budget, and we always wait until later on in the summer to use it, because we offer, if the residents want to replace the sidewalk in front of their homes, we will reimburse them. I think it's 25% of the cost of it if they bring me the invoice. But nobody's done that yet, so we've got that entire budget to use by the end of the year. So.
Was it a long strip, or was it?
No, it was right off the edge of the roadway. It was just the approach, it had eroded away.
We'll take a look at that tomorrow. Not a problem. Any other questions?
We got
Go ahead.
one.
Yeah.
And it's a call from people on Fifth Street, and that is the old safe routes to school signs that go to the old school.
Mm-hmm.
If they're asking if the city was gonna pull those, and I said, of course we will.
When did you get that call?
Probably a week ago. Is it already done?
Yeah.
Okay.
All the school signs, all the
Safe
school-
routes
Yep,
to-
the whole, should have all been buttoned up last week when we had talked about that. And I think if we missed one or two, let me know, we'll gladly take it down, not a problem.
I'm sure you got them then.
Maybe. We
Just-
might have missed one. But yeah, if you see anything else that has anything to do with the old school, you know, school crossing, parking, whatever, just let us know. We'll gladly, we're always looking for other things than, you know, what people think we're looking for, so.
That keys me on one other thing for Darren. And that was, people on Birch asked me if the city was gonna take any stop signs around the old school, if we were gonna take them down. And I know there's some one-way street, I think it goes
Comes in.
into the, it goes up around, if that was gonna change. And I said, well, I'll pass it on to the police chief to analyze that.
I just met with the owner of the building this week.
Yeah.
They've been having some issues around there, so they're actually probably gonna be chaining off all those entrances to
Okay.
the school. And also putting up some no trespass signs and everything on those gates. So those probably will be taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Efficient
Okay.
people are.
Where are you leaving us?
All right. Technology and library report 4C.
I have nothing for technology or the library. Do you have anything for technology?
Very good.
Computers were all installed. That was my big technology for the year. So
Great. Council have any questions? Pass on. No? 4D, engineer report. City engineer?
So, I'll just briefly run through this, Tyler. The big thing that we talked about and that we'll be talking about in just a couple of minutes here is the Sioux Line Trail. We'll need some action on that. Obviously, we talked about a lot of things, but everything's just kind of plunking right along. I wouldn't be surprised if we get going on the well house probably within the next month. It sounded like they were just finishing up some contract stuff there. So you may see some activity down in that end of town.
Okay. The council have any questions? Yeah, good. Chamber updates. I think Katie and I were and Lisa were at the meeting today, and they are doing some events, even though it's very hard for them because of the COVID thing. They have another golf,
A virtual golf.
virtual golf event going on. You'll see the flyers around town at different places, or you can jump on the website for the chamber. It talks about it there. What else was there? There's another event.
They're doing, I just found out about this today. Valley Printing is designed a shirt, and they're selling them for $15, and the proceeds of the shirt, I think like $7 every shirt, goes to the chamber for the COVID-19 relief fund. So that's pretty awesome of them. That was one of the
Yeah.
big things that I can remember.
Do you remember that total dollar amount that they have given out? Was it 31,000?
Yeah, it was something right
It's about
around there.
31,000 that they've given out to a large number of businesses, a couple grand, helping each of them, as many as they could that applied, to help them get through this COVID.
And that's partly what we donated towards too, was that as a city, we donated.
So that was a huge dollar amount they've donated, and they were a little bit in the hole, I think a couple grand, because of gift cards that they have purchased, and then they sell them for the businesses. So they do have gift cards still at the Chamber Building if anyone wants them. And,
But they're doing a great job.
yeah, the proceeds
Very
are
helpful.
helping those businesses.
So they have raffle tickets as well.
Yep,
Yes, and
raffle
those
tickets
just-
started, and drawing will be in October.
That's what it was, is
Yes,
the raffle.
yeah.
Are they putting them out?
I think some area businesses have them as well.
Yeah, you could probably pick them up at almost any of the business or at the chamber.
Yeah, I went to the chamber.
Yeah,
Doesn't KJ's normally market?
and there's a selling on the weekend, there's a person selling outside KJ's or right outside if it gets cold. So, that is all it. Previously discussed businesses, 5A, part-time PD administrative assistant.
So this is one of your handouts. The Personnel Committee interviewed and is recommending Sarah Radzak for the part-time admin assistant.
So any questions, discussion, or motion by the council?
I will just say that it was a very, very strong applicant pool. So she'll do good.
I'll make that motion to hire the part-time administrative assistant Sarah Radzak at the wages and hours and sick leave as presented.
Very good. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So the next step will be just getting her start time.
Yep, sounds
Because it
like.
looks like everything else is negotiated.
Yep.
So just any indication when that would be if we passed it?
Monday?
She could start as soon as Monday. I've already done the background stuff. Fingerprints had to be in to get into some of the systems. That's all taken care of. So we're just kind of waiting for approval here. And yeah, she's
Great. Fantastic. Moving on to, excuse me,
Monday, that's quick.
yeah, it is.
Good.
5B, wells and well house bonding.
So this is the information that was presented by George at the, when we reviewed the water rate study. They did the water rate study, Tammy, I should say, did the water rate study with the understanding that we would choose the 25-year bond. And that was, George's recommendation was going with the 25-year bond because interest rates are incredibly, incredibly low. And so that would be my recommendation also.
And really, you're looking for a motion
I
today.
am, yep. Yep. I would like to get this decided on sooner rather than later so that we have the money by the end of the year. We'll have some bigger invoices coming up, and so far we've been paying for everything with our reserves.
Council, questions, comments, and/or motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the 25-year term.
Very good. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to 5C, Sioux Line Trail reconstruction update.
So Tyler's going to talk about the estimate that is in your packet on page 52.
Council members and Mr. Mayor, thank you for letting me come and speak. I just want to give a little brief overview of that project, Sioux Line Trail bypass, which runs from Falls Boulevard or Chunk Highway 27 up to North Road, County Road 15. We've been working with the city on reconstruction plans for that trail in preparation to try and get it done before the next MS 150 bike ride, which I believe happens next spring. And what we've been working on is creating a new 10-foot wide bikeway and pedestrian trail on the east side, and then paving that, and then also paving the west side as an 8-foot wide ATV trail, and doing some improvements with raising up grade and things like that to help with drainage, and then the ditchway along the west side to try and improve that, just because if you ever walk down that, it's almost constantly flooded. So, just a little background on the funding. The city has secured $150,000 from the DNR Local Trails Connection Program, which is the max amount that they give out for that grant. That comes with a $50,000 match that the city has to match local funds for that. And so for our preliminary engineering estimate, we had estimated a $200,000 total project cost, which included approximately $160,000 for construction and then another $40,000 for design and construction services. Since discussing more with the city, we've done a few more improvements to the trail section, which has raised that estimate up to $199,000. So an increase in about $40,000. Some of those things include just extra class 5 material to bring up the grade to help that drainage get away, especially from the pedestrian and bikeway side of the trail. And then with our topographic survey that we completed at the beginning of design, we did find a lot of those big potholes out there that just calls for more class 5 to bring it up to grade and correct those areas. We also looked at defining that ditch a little more better on that west side, because right now it holds a lot of water. So having in the documents to have them actually construct a ditch from basically the entire length of that trail to try and, it's very flat, so it's gonna hold some water, but to help improve that drainage, just so it's not washing out that trail more and more. And then also we've decided to add in some class 1 riprap in the ditch, along with on the inslope of the ATV side of the trail, to help with any ATVs that are running off the path, because I'm sure they want to play in the water as they're going down the trail. And so that basically, those additional items of class 5, the ditch work, the riprap, is where that $40,000 is coming from. That's additional cost of the construction estimate right now. And so with trying to get this project done yet this year in preparation for that MS 150 bike ride, we're asking permission to go ahead and advertise the project for bids contingent on the execution of the DNR funding contract that has to come through. We're just waiting on one more review and approval. If we're not, we don't think there's going to be any hold up. We're just waiting on it. But then, just as a reminder to council, that if we do go out for bid, if you guys approve to go out for bids, once we receive those, you'll have to take action again and approve the low bid on that. So if the bids don't come in quite where you want them to, we can always reject all the bids or change the plans and try and lower the costs some or whatnot. So,
And we have until 2022 to spend this money.
yes.
So we've got time. But I do know that the MS 150 is a fairly large event. And we talked about it multiple times in the engineering meetings. So
It's
that's
a couple thousand riders, and if they can't use the bypass, which they won't do if it's not tarred, which they'll have to go down town, right through the middle of town on the Arrowhead, which Darren would have to have a team up
Yep.
there to control that. I don't know how you do with thousands.
So, so today, we're just looking for approval to go out for bid. We'll see what they come back at. They may be lower. They're not gonna be higher. No, I'm just kidding. We'll just see what they come back at. And
So it sounds like we may have to have a special council meeting, because if you're gonna get going this fall, you don't have a large construction time ahead of you.
So, let's see, your next council meeting would be
14.
Of October.
October, so we'd have to,
You know what, let's wait, we can discuss this after.
right, because we'll need a couple weeks for advertisement, and then
Yes.
bid opening, and then the council would have to act on it, so.
So it might be right around,
It might be close to that
Yeah.
anyways.
it'll be close to
Okay,
that.
well, we
still
gotta
have the
wait for
Wednesdays
council.
open. We have those Wednesdays open for COVID anyhow.
Mhm.
That's right.
So,
We do.
All right.
I'll make that motion to go forward with getting bids.
Second,
Second.
any questions? Good, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Tyler.
Thanks, Tyler.
Do we need Tyler for anything else
I don't
on
think
the
so.
agenda? Feel free, Tyler, once you got your stuff to head out, if you want to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to new business, 6A, 2021 budget presentation. We should have that on last month's.
It's page 53. Starts on page 53. I did include it in your guys' packets.
Yeah, I knew that.
I did.
That was a test.
Oh, did I pass?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna go over the preliminary budget for 2021. None of this needs to be like set in stone today, but we just have to set the initial levy for property taxes, the initial property tax levy. So the first page, revenues. Without increasing the property tax levy, property taxes increased by about $30,000 to $35,000 because the values of the properties in Moose Lake increased. Our sales tax, I kept the same. We're on target to hit about $225,000 this year, so I left that alone. I got word that LGA increased right around $35,000, so we will be getting $945,000 from LGA. Our transfer from Power and Light remain the same, and I am estimating campground fees to stay the same for 2021. So the next page, just a brief overview of some expenditure things to note. Elections will be removed from the budget in 2021. The operating transfer from the general fund to the DMV remained of $20,000. I did include wage increases in all of these budgets. I also contacted the health insurance companies to see what the estimated increase will be, and PEEP was about 10% of an increase, which is one of the largest increases they've ever seen. And then I also did include all the staffing changes in the police department.
What's the percentage on the wage increase?
3%.
3%?
Yes,
That's what it was last year as well? I believe?
correct. Yep. Since I've been here, that's been what it is. So the next page, going over each department, general government didn't change. City council didn't change. City administration went down about 13,000. Elections was reduced by 2,500. The community center stayed the same. The police department, just with the staffing changes and some of the retirement changes and things like that, reduced about $20,000. Building inspector stayed the same. Public works increased a little over 23,000, and the reason being is we budgeted for having 2 staff come out of the public works department for right around 2 months. So I did account for that with wages as well as insurance. Recycling increased $300. The next page, the depot and the parks department stayed the same, as well as the gardens. The library, we did a little bit of some staffing changes, utilizing people a little bit differently, so that decreased about $3,500. We no longer have TIF districts. The cemetery increased $2. Cable TV went up about $400, and the Riverside Arena increased about $2,000. And so a lot of those small increases were just wage increases, so very, very minimal. The next page are capital improvement projects. A couple things for the Public Works Department. Phil needs a new plow for one of the dump trucks, and then he would like a brush hog to clean up right-of-ways.
Right-of-ways and easements, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. He needs a new mower on the, a new mower deck in the cemetery. The arena, I know we talked about some different possibilities with the roof. We are in the process of getting some quotes on some steel. I talked to the insurance company, and they're checking into some things and getting back to me on some different possibilities there, but I did keep that in there, even if it's just a placeholder, just to keep it in there. But we have reached out to some other contractors, and actually SEH is going to send their architect through here when he's out and about. So I just told them no huge rush on it. I don't need them here tomorrow or anything. The other item for the arena is the overhead door needs to be replaced. The community center we're just on track with replacing one of those air conditioning units a year. So that's in there. The next page. The next page is just a total of all the capital improvement projects and where the changes were. So the police department reduced theirs by $7,500, Public Works by $25,000, the parks by $7,000, the arena increased quite a bit, the community center decreased, and then the cemetery with that mower deck. All in all, a change of about $90,000 in capital. The next page compares net income from last year to 2020 to 2021. Revenues for 2021 total $2,287,886. Operating expenses of $2,043,745. And then the CIP expenses of $218,000, bringing us to a net income of $26,000. And then just a note that the sales tax, franchise fee, and the gambling are included in revenues and expenses, so they're in there, but they're not in there. They're not a part of that net income. So some of the remaining items, we just talked about the wage increase. Anything that you guys want to see in here, which I know we've talked about a couple of things that I need to look into with insurance, the sewer lining, and then the liquor store budget, which we'll talk about later on. These are old figures from just to compare how we compare to neighboring communities. So I'll skip ahead. I'm not sure what page I'm on now. But the historical levy, this just shows, I'm not proposing a levy increase for 2021, but it just shows where we're at from 2016 to current. And then another thing to note down there is the taxable market value. We are 71% tax exempt in the city limits. So that means only 28% of our property is taxed, which, yep, well, I didn't say it. No, I think that just shows how creative we are with the money that we do levy. We get a lot done for not a lot. So the next page are where we're at with debt service of that property tax levy. For the 2011A bond, 41,000 of that will go towards that bond. And then some township and fire district, they help out also. The 2014A bond, which is the Park Place Drive, we are setting aside $45,000 to help cover some of those bond expenses. Special assessments help that one out too, but 2017A, we're taking $35,000 for the Kenwood and 3rd Street road improvements. And then the next page is the water fund. So for the water revenues, I made the assumption that we were going to increase water rates by 20%. And I would like to include something in the water bills this month that will be mailed out, I believe, around the 25th, giving the public some type of an idea of what they're going to see in an increase. So I don't need that to be set in stone, but I do just want to make sure that I'm on the right track with the 20% increase. And that would be what about what our revenue would be, is $304,000. So we can talk about that at the end, but I do just want to make sure that I'm on the same page as you guys, can get the accurate information out. Water expenses went up a bit. I took the information from the water rate study for the bond schedule, and I included that in there. So that was the major increases because of a bond payment of interest. And as Tammy explained, we will see a net loss for the first year of about $9,000. I do have some engineering fees in there still because we'll be finishing up the smaller well house projects in 2021. And then, yeah, the 20% rate increase is what I am suggesting. The next page, I did include information on what the net loss would be if we increased the rates by 10%, 15%, and 20%. And then I also just wanted to note that with the 20% increase, a low water user, so I think they used 2,000 gallons, the water bills will go up about $5 a month. Medium users between $6 and $7 a month, and then high users are $17 to $18 a month, and that all just depends on usage. Those are just averages.
Katie?
Yes.
You would put that in the information then so people kind of have an idea?
The low, medium, high? I can, yep.
I think we should get that in the paper if we can also, that information.
Maybe, yeah.
It would be a good idea to get it.
Like when you hear 20%, you think, wow, and
Right.
Yep.
when you actually,
Right.
it makes it a
Yep.
little more realistic of what
Mhm.
a person would expect.
Yep, I can do that. Yep, I can do that. The next page is the sewer fund. So the sewer fund, I assumed a 2% rate increase, although we can change that too. With that, the revenues would be $577,000, operating expenditures of $355,000. Debt payments go up just a bit at $341,000. That gives us a net loss of $117,000. Next page, one of these other pages shows why. So like I said, I suggest a 2% rate increase, and we do have adequate fund reserves. I forgot to check and see after I cut bills how many months we have, but I do have a note to check that. I just finished doing that really late last night, so. So the next page, I did do scenarios for a 1%, 2%, and a 3% increase, and the net losses associated with those. The average increase per month for 1%, 2%, and 3% is 25 cents, 50 cents, 75 cents. So it's pretty minimal of an increase. The water and sewer capital improvement, the water we did this last year too, and I suggest we keep a valve replacement and a valve break in our budget. Phil's shaking his head. And then we'll also be finishing the well project in 2021 for the water fund. Sewer fund, we are keeping the sewer lining in there. I think most all of us agree that that's another good idea, which is the cause for the larger than normal loss in that department. I also think that we've streamlined that process and we learned a lot through that, so that'll hopefully be a little bit less next year. Moving on to the liquor fund. Revenues I kept the same. I've noticed over 2020, I've noticed a bit of a decrease in on sale, as to be expected, but that has increased off sale. So I haven't really noticed a whole lot of revenue loss with COVID and everything, so that's good. I kept everything, a lot of things the same. Expenditures went up a bit, and the reason that is because I talked about it last time about the siding, and I did check with insurance on that too, so more to come on that. But that also does include the trim work around the bottom of the building, which I think Elena's wanted to get done for the last couple of years. And that's why the net income is a little bit less than normal at $41,000 because of that larger project. So moving on to the DMV, I kept revenues the same for the DMV, and I kept expenditures very much the same. The small increase is due to some wage increases. I took the capital projects out, that was complete, and I don't know if you guys have been in there, but it looks great. They did a really good job. And even with all of that, there's a net loss of $18,000, which I know is a bit frustrating, but there's nothing, we can't raise rates, we can't raise
It's all state run.
It's all, so
Yeah.
all we can do is complain to the state. Even if you go through their line by line, there's not a lot to cut from.
We'll see if the new program changes
Yes,
anything.
yes, they'll have a new driver's license program coming out in November.
Finally.
So we're gonna cross our fingers, or no, maybe it's Millar's, it's not driver's license, it's motor vehicle. So we're gonna cross our fingers at a better outcome. But it's the same company that does the driver's license, so crossing our fingers. So the next page shows the increase, if we do a 0% increase, 1%, 2%, all the way up to 5%. And again, I'm just suggesting a 0% increase for 2021. And then the only thing I need from you guys today is a motion for an initial property tax levy, and then just consensus that you want me to include the 20% increase in water bills, and then I'll put something in the newspaper also. That's a great idea. Maybe I should throw something on Facebook too.
Absolutely. So, discussion by the council?
We're not looking for a maximum levy at this time, or
We are looking for a maximum levy. Yes.
which we've done in the past.
We have.
Ends up at 0.
Yep. Yep.
I make
So,
a
sorry, go ahead.
motion that the maximum levy be 2%.
2%.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Very good. Just for the public's understanding, we set the maximum tonight, and then in December, we set the actual, which is being recommended at 0. And you do a 2% now, just in case there's any changes between now and December that we're unaware of, that we would cover them. So, more to come on that, and that'll happen in December.
Something else that I should note that I should have included in here, but I didn't. I talked with Mike Yuso from now Essentia, and because Mercy merged with Essentia, or however that went, the hospital tax levy will be dropped off in 2021. So residents should see a little bit of relief there. So that's good for residents.
Any further discussion, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Were there any other motions within there that we needed?
I don't,
Katie?
not this time.
Not at this time?
No. The other motions are for the final.
All right, very good, thank you.
Is everyone comfortable with me including the information for the 20% water rate increase?
No.
Did you say no? Do you want to see it lower?
Yes.
To what?
I would keep it at minimum we can. 20 is not the minimum we can keep it at.
So if we do anything lower, we have to basically extend.
There's a problem with the water, raising the water, it also raises the sewer.
Nope,
It won't.
nope, it does not raise it. That, it
Our
does.
bill coming for our sewer is based on the amount of water you use.
It's based on the usage, your gallons, not what
That's
you're
right.
charged.
So in other words, somebody watering their lawn has a higher sewer bill. something is wrong there.
It's the usage, that, the number of gallons that they use.
Right, and if you use more gallons, your sewer bill goes up.
Correct.
But that's gonna happen no matter what we do.
That's what I said, there's a problem with it. I mean, why should I pay, or why should the little lady down there, because she likes to keep a nice yard and flowers and stuff, pay more of a sewer bill than somebody else that lets their yard go to hell?
When the water's not going in the sewer is what you're saying.
That's right, when water does not go in the sewer.
Well, that's how this has been set up, Greg.
Well,
You know, that's been set up probably 30 years ago, 40 years ago. You would have to come up with a suggestion between now and December
To
of
change.
how to change that.
And that would be changing how we bill. That wouldn't have anything to do with the rate. So that, we would be changing
The
basically the
rate would
rate.
still stay the same, but if you're
Right
looking
now,
at,
right now, the rate increases the sewer bill.
so if you're looking at, you'd have to work on suggestions of how to correct that, or not correct it, but to change that.
And hey, Greg,
I'm just saying I
the
don't-
rate, but the rate
I'm just saying
doesn't,
that I don't agree with it, I mean, there are other people here.
I
Yep.
understand where you're coming from, but the rate doesn't, the rate for the water fund does not affect the sewer. If your usage goes up, then yes, that affects your sewer, but the rate does
It affects
not.
your bill.
Right, but I don't, we can talk about this afterwards, but.
And I think the recommendation for the 20% was based on the study that was
Yes.
done, that we need to have a 20% right away, or that fund is not going to be a healthy fund.
Correct.
So if we do this, we can mitigate things down the.
We can taper.
Yeah.
What we would have to do if we went lower, each year, we would have to increase it a higher amount. If we do it on the front end, we do less the
Exactly.
next couple of years to pay the bond off.
Yeah.
And if we go lower now, every year would have to be higher than what is projected now to pay that bill off. And we would be paying it out of our,
Our reserves.
a reserve, because our water fund would disappear. But we kind of didn't have a choice because of the failures going on in the old wells. I certainly didn't want to do new wells now. What was the total cost? 2.4 million?
I don't know, it's changed a few times
Yeah,
right
just,
now.
what a time to have to hit
Well,
to
I
do
mean, I
this.
do understand what he's saying, and
I would
it
too.
doesn't make sense. So maybe we should
We can look at
look
that
into
because
that.
it was set up that way, doesn't mean it has to
Yeah.
stay that way.
If we need a
We
community
could
study
keep the
on
sewer
that.
rates as they are now with a percentage worked in as we go. They can be totally separate. Doesn't have to be the way it is now.
So, I understand, I had somebody,
I'm just bringing this up because it's something that's got to be taken care of.
Yeah,
As
and-
far as paying the bill for the wells, I have no problem with that part of it. I just, the only way to bring a problem out is to bring it up now, otherwise it'll never change, and the poor lady down the street is gonna pay more sewer than she's supposed to.
In the summertime, for sure.
Right.
I mean, if you're looking at June, July, and August, that's when people are watering their lawns, maybe there could be some type of, something built into the billing cycle for those months.
I just don't know.
A percentage, I would
Yeah,
say.
It's something
I
we
just,
can look at.
I just don't know how you track that. Somebody did come to me and say at one time, years and years and years ago, that they did this, probably before you were here, that the water and light department did do that. I just don't know how you track that to make it accurate
You couldn't.
or fair for
You couldn't,
both.
you just took the average is what we did and lowered it by an average. This is talking about something different. This would be setting up our building different, which can be looked at and it can be done. It's just a matter of mathematics.
Oh, I know,
Yeah.
I know it, but
Yeah.
but I'm.
What we have to look at also, if we separate, is the bond payments for the work we did on the sewer, on the collection system. We didn't do much on the ponds out there because of what the state did, but we did a lot of work on the collection system, and there is a fixed increase for those also. So we probably should look at the whole thing anyway. It's not a,
Yeah, I guess maybe I'm just not understanding like how you're explaining it to me.
Yeah.
It's not,
we can definitely go through that.
okay.
Yeah.
But I just need to know what to include for a potential rate increase.
Well,
Just
the
letting
vote
public
will
know.
be, I haven't called it yet. I have to do that next if there's no longer a discussion.
And I would just say a proposed
Right.
increase.
Well,
of
whatever that is,
whatever
that's
it is.
already in there. Right.
It wouldn't be final until December.
Right.
So,
Any further questions, discussion? Thank you, Greg. All in favor, say aye.
well, nobody
We don't have a
voted.
motion
We
yet.
didn't have a motion.
I thought there was a motion and a second.
No.
I think we were
It
just
was
talking
a
about
discussion.
20%. Yeah.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Yeah, as per the rate study, it was 20%, so I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? What, could we do this with your motion, please?
You want me to?
Motion on 20% with us looking into the building of how water and sewer is built as part of the
I'll
motion.
amend my motion.
Thank you. Do you have all that, Katie?
Got it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to 6B, community, oh, excuse me, that was it for?
That's it.
Okay. 6B, community center roof repair.
So I went back into our storage room for like the first time in the spring, and we had a rather large leak over the winter at some point. So I got 2 contractors out here. One is telling me he can patch it. The other one is telling me that he will not patch it. Sorry. So Beaver is telling me that he will patch it for, I can't see it on here.
5,960?
Yep, 5,960. Commercial roofing gave a few options. And he did send me pictures. I've actually never been up there, but he's sending me pictures of the nails all kind of pushing out of the roof and tenting the rubber roof. I personally don't know which one is the best. I don't know a lot about roofing. He did say that, commercial roofing did say that if we patch, the water's just gonna go to where you patch, which I can kind of understand that. So we have 2 options. We can either patch, or it looks like we can make the appropriate repairs until we're ready to replace the roof completely.
Well, it looks like option 2, they have a 10-year warranty for $18,000, and they'll coat the entire roof as well.
And then option 3, I didn't think that was terrible either, because I know how much it is to re-roof the arena. I thought that would be much higher too.
It's 160 to start, isn't that what you're looking at? And option 3 is 35 to 40,000.
Yes.
I guess I have a question. So
Yes.
is he saying his option 1 is comparable to
Yes, because he
Beaver
said
Roofing's option?
he said that he would not patch. He said, I'm not even gonna give you a quote to patch because I won't do it.
So that isn't even, they're not even comparable. They're not even
Really.
the same.
Not really. But I guess I don't know who else does rubber roofing.
When he says coating the entire roof, is he talking just above the storage room area?
No,
Or
the whole thing.
This building here?
Correct.
How often does the city check the roof up here?
When
It's
it.
usually annually.
Yeah,
It's-
we normally have, I would say at least one leak. I mean, you can look up in all the roof tiles and there's at least one leak every year. The water's gonna find its way in.
Yeah, it's a good thing to have them looked at every year, that's for sure. That's how we do our
Yeah.
meter, get to the problem before it turns into a major problem.
Yep. So I know that something needs to be done, but I honestly don't know which one is the best option.
What was Beaver's first, theirs was,
Uh,
I couldn't read it on here.
5960.
For a 20 by 20 section.
And that would also, with this, we would have to have an electrician come out here and put an outlet in, so then we can plug a tape in, so that this won't happen every single year. And it'll just kind of melt the snow and ice,
So,
which we have all over. We just don't have one in that particular place.
And then option one, from the other contractor, would make those corrections for 5265, extend the life of the roof for 2 to 3 years.
Yep. And then he did suggest replacing it after that time. And to be fair to Beaver, I did not ask either of these people to give me a quote to replace the whole thing. So to be fair to Beaver, I don't have a quote to have him replace it because I did not ask for one.
well, I guess I would like to see something we're comparing, you know, the roof coating and the full replacement, then if we're kind of considering doing more than just a little patch.
So would you like me to contact Beaver to see how much it would be to basically do what commercial roofing is, the options?
Well, yeah, because I don't see that even option one and what he's doing are anywhere comparable, so how do you?
And I don't know if
Yeah.
about. I contacted Beaver first because
Yeah.
he's who I call in
To
an
repair the
emergency.
roof.
Yeah, yep. If it's currently leaking, I call him and he was here.
To me, I think we should have it repaired and have a little bit more time, maybe next year, to look at replacing the whole thing and working it into the budget. I can see repairing it, either using either one of them, either going with the lowest bid is fine with me. To repair the roof for now, and then look for a full project later.
They both
Because
have
it's
different,
more,
Yeah.
they both have different ideas on what repairing the
Correct.
roof would be.
Exactly, one has electrical tape, this one doesn't, so
Right.
how do you go with the low bid, because it's not, they're not.
if you read what option one does, extending for 2 to 3 years, you'd have to believe the person bidding it. If you're looking for more exactly how you want it repaired, you'd have to have the engineers write up a list of how we want it repaired
No, I know.
to throw out the bids. Because how else are we gonna bid on this if we don't have a list of things we want done?
I understand that, but I'm just saying that you said go with the low bid, well, they're not both, they didn't define, I mean, one has the heat tape and an outlet, and, you know, and this doesn't, so what are we actually, I mean,
I'm looking at the end result, this will extend the life of the roof another 2 to 3 years.
yeah, but Beaver has a 5-year contractor warranty against leakage, so,
But I'm throwing it out to the council, I think we should have it repaired. And I said either bid, I'm fine with that, or go with the lowest bid, and then look at a more comprehensive project when we have more time. We're at the end of the year right now, the construction year.
I guess I will say this too, I can ask Beaver if he would give me a bid to repair all the tented screws, open flashings, metal joints, do things like that. I can ask him that. I contacted Beaver first and then commercial roofing. So commercial roofing, frankly, I asked for what a 20 by 20 patch would be so that it was like for like, and he said he would not do that. So that is why he came up with this. So what I will do is I can go back to Beaver and ask him how much it would cost to repair the tented screws, and basically exactly what option 1 says, to extend the life of the roof 2 years. So then we have a like to like, because I understand what you're saying, and I thought the exact same thing. So I can do that. I can call Beaver back. It's not, I would say, I would love to have it voted on today because it is getting closer and closer to snowing, but the roof will not cave in. It'll be fine, no matter what. It'll be fine. We could put a bucket of, the problem is I just don't go in that back room often enough, and I noticed that it was wet, and that's like the last place I want it wet.
Well, it's concerning to me that one of the parties said that they wouldn't even do it 20 by 20.
The reason why he said he wouldn't do a 20 by 20 patch is because he said the water will just travel to.
I understand that, and that's what I'm saying is one said that they won't even do it. They're giving you a professional opinion. I think is, to me, is they specialize in these roofs. That's all they do. So to me, I don't think the 20 by 20 patch is even realistic. But I do agree that we should be comparing apples with apples.
Well, and maybe when you talk to Beaver, ask him about this option 2, what his cost would be for, to coat the entire roof.
Okay, I can do that.
And we can have a special meeting if it's something that we had to do.
Okay.
Everyone in agreement? We're kind of going by consensus instead of any consensus, Walter?
I'm in agreement with that. We can talk to David and see what his quote would be for that.
So we have consensus. Thank you very much. Moving on to 6C, Newberry Street Water Main Maintenance Quotes.
So these are what you guys asked about last week, 2 weeks ago, last week maybe. And so they are very similar. It looks like Global's a little bit less for both, and we have them break them out by location. So I will say that I'm not sure that I recommend going forward with these. I understand why we want these projects done, but I am concerned that this will cause a lot of other future problems to pop up.
Phil, do you have a recommendation on the solving of this?
Sorry, Ken, I missed the question completely. What'd you say?
Do you have any recommendation on the solving of this problem with the water? And I'm just talking just them there, not anybody else or anywhere else, just here.
So definitely lowering the service to get it below the frost line is the proper fix for this problem, hands down. How many more?
We have the same problem.
On the list? 62 to 65. That's what's hanging me up from giving anyone an answer on this.
Those other ones that we're talking about, are their water lines are high like these, they're not at the normal depth, 8 to 9 feet or more?
Correct. So any portion of that service is above the frost line, depending on where the frost depth is at that time of the year. It's definitely going to interfere with the flow of that service.
So right now, if the problem starts with our main line, it's not low enough, correct?
Our main is low enough. It's the service leak coming off the main is not low enough. Otherwise, the main would freeze.
So our main is staying well, we're hooking into it, and going up how many feet? Like-
I can't tell you until it's exposed.
Okay.
But it comes off the top of the main and then goes for the house. And typically that's where we see them please.
Council?
Our portion of it.
Our portion of the service, yes, correct.
So if everyone came in and wanted this done, we'd be at $260,000. Just at lowering the water lines, water services.
You know, the gentleman that has come in each year, so his service is what is high.
The city's portion of that service is high, because when the policy was adopted, the water and sewer ownership policy in 2016, I believe it was passed, the council voted to adopt it from the curb stop to the house, which would have been the property line to the house, not to the main.
Right.
So that's the way it was adopted, that's the way it was put together.
So so our stuff is part of our equipment, lines, whatever, are too high. And if we lower them, then the homeowner will have to pay for theirs being lowered to hook up.
I wouldn't say they'd have to. Typically, where that area of the line is, where the curb stop is typically in someone's front yard, on the edge of the right of way. The frost depth is usually considerably less there than it is in the street, which is why it ends up being the portion the city owns, which is why it's our problem. Because like last year,
Right.
I mean, we had a foot of frost in the ground. We got all that snow. It pulled all the frost out. There was no frost in the ground after that. There was all winter long. We shoveled curb stops, and there was no frost under the snow. We plowed the snow away. There was no frost there. None. There was still 6 feet in the road, but there was nothing on private property or on the edge of the right of way.
So still, we have lines that are too high, and that is our problem. At some point, they have to be corrected. I don't know when, but I mean, Chris brought it up last time. If we don't do anything, they'll be high forever, and that is our problem. We will continue to have to protect those lines and steam them when they freeze and everything else. Run water, tell them to run water in their house at a good rate somewhere in the house to keep them from freezing.
Correct.
So council,
62 are all in the city limits?
That's just 62 that froze in the.
However many years.
It was the 12, 13, 13, 14 winter. They literally locked up. They were frozen.
Okay.
Done. And there was probably another 40 that were running just to protect themselves from freezing.
What have the last few years been like?
Last year was good.
Well, last year it wasn't too.
No, but the frost steps in the road were still there. But the last 3 years we've been able to stay on top of everything and get people running their water a little bit early just to prevent any of these nightmares.
And I think a lot of these people that have frozen in the past expect and know winter's coming. I better,
Yeah, it's on the radar
Yeah.
for sure. But I mean, this is a spendy road to start traveling down. I just got numbers. I was asked to get numbers. I got numbers. This is a very difficult one here for me.
I get it, but again, we're responsible for,
The problem that this gentleman that has come in and brought this to our attention is, the problem with him is it's kind of a time issue with him.
He leaves.
He would like to sell his house because he doesn't need a house that big anymore, because his children have gone on. And he would like to move to a smaller house somewhere, but when it comes time for him to sell it, he says that that'll be difficult to sell that house. He says he's an honest man, so whoever wants to buy the house, he has to tell him that you're buying a house with the potential of having a frozen water line into that, and that will cause him difficulty in selling his house. And I would agree, that is a problem for him. So he's hanging on to his house for now, but if he wants to sell it and get the value of what he thinks is in his house, he needs to have this line fixed, or he's going to have to sell his house for a lesser amount than what it is actually worth. And like Chris says, this is the city's problem. And sooner or later, we're going to have to start doing something about this issue.
How much to do?
How much to do it?
It's $40-some hundred. I just wonder if we did all of them, I just went at $4,000, counting the 260. If they give us a break on doing them all or whatever.
And these are quotes on 2 different locations.
Same road.
They're right
Same
next
road,
door.
and one's 4,300 and one's 4,700. I'm kind of wondering what the $400 difference is, like.
It's longer. It's a longer distance.
Oh,
Yep. I will mention this too, if we're thinking about this as citywide, a good number of these services are going up Sioux Hill, under 73. We've all heard the story how the road was lowered, and now there's not adequate frost coverage, and there's water main up there that's 5 feet in the ground glass. I've worked on it, and it's laying right on top of bedrock. There's not a good, cheap, easy way to fix that.
So those ones will be even more expensive to fix.
Oh, yeah. Not to mention long-side services, meaning the main is on the far side of the street, the home is on the opposite side of the street, shutting down the state highway. Nobody likes that. Taking up a brand new road.
You'd have to blast that rock
You got
there
it.
deeper. You can't,
You got her.
it's solid bedrock there. That's a whole different situation than what we have at Newberry, totally different. Council?
If we're gonna do it for one, we better start having a program to start fixing these other ones, because we're opening up Pandora's box. Because the one person does not have the right to come in here and have it changed, and everybody else has to deal with it. That's my opinion.
You know, insulating these, it's no easy way to insulate either now. Everything is buried, everything is covered up. Even putting styrofoam underground and reburying it just to keep the frost from hitting those spots.
And that's just a hopeful solution.
Right,
You want to be below 8 feet.
yeah.
That's as good as it's going to get.
Well, we're never gonna get that on 73 going west, because the bedrock there, you're not gonna multiply it by these numbers. You're gonna have to blast rock down to 10 feet. And what are we, 5 feet maybe?
Yeah, there's a portion by Grove that's
Yeah,
it.
we're talking mega dollars now,
Yeah, it's
close to.
This is huge. This is huge.
It's totally different than this.
And then when we're looking at all the other projects that we have to do in town, the other infrastructure projects, it makes it very difficult.
I don't, to me personally, I don't have a problem fixing this, because the other's bedrock, that's totally different. But that's just me, and the council's gonna have to make that decision.
I wouldn't say all of them are though, in Bedrock. There's some down in this area of town too.
If we start it, we should put money aside for next year to do a couple next year too. And then we're not showing preference.
Yeah.
I could see something along that lines. We could start doing this, trying to knock off a few every year, whatever we think is affordable, the number that we could do. And obviously, different areas are going to cost different amounts of money.
Or some of those services on some of the roads that we're planning to do road projects on.
Yep.
So, I mean, we really could
Yep.
fix some of those during that period of time when we plan on doing that road.
Yep. If we're doing complete reconstruct, yes.
What money do we have in the budget to do this year, these two?
Not a lot. Without having money for proceeds from the bond, it looks like we are negative in the water fund right now. So I would have to take out all of what we've spent for the well project.
Well, we
So,
also have a reserve in sales tax.
yeah, so we've got plenty in there. We could use that, yes.
That's supposed to be used for infrastructure anyhow, or roadways, so we could use some of that this year and then set aside X amount for next year to do a couple. That's an option.
We could use that. We could also use the franchise fee for that.
Have we ever, I mean, I guess I don't get the complaints, but have we heard from the other landowner here about the water freezing, or?
We
do
had
they
an
not
issue,
have-
it was that 2012-13, that same winter, it was this, yeah, but they don't freeze as easily as the neighbor does, and usually it's, you froze up, run your water, because you're gonna be next, kind of deal, it's never,
So it's more the one that's.
it's more the one, but I mean, I just keep a list by every year, who freezes up, who has complaints, who hit certain temperatures, who's running, that kind of thing, and that's pretty much what you build this list off of.
Here's a question,
Yeah.
Phil. You know, in the past, I know we helped them totally thaw everything, but we're not doing that anymore, correct?
No, we aren't. After one house got flooded with us hooking up a hose, we are totally not involved in that anymore. And I would highly recommend we keep it that way.
But the ones that have, they were able to get a contractor out and do the work and unthaw in a
Yep.
reasonable time.
Yep. Or use water from their neighbor or whatever, however, but the city is not involved in any of that anymore.
Yeah.
No, that was.
And it almost caused electrical problem too, if I remember.
Yeah, it started a couple fires. One house got flooded. Yeah, it was, those are
Not a
the
good
kind
idea.
of things we just need to stay away from and be
Yeah.
like, that's out of our realm.
This work would be done by you, at the Public Works here, like,
Although
for fixing these areas that would all be done by the city, or?
no, they'd be contractors. Those are estimates
These
from
are two
contractors.
estimates.
So there's an estimate from Land Logic,
Okay.
and right before that, an estimate from, two estimates from Global on two separate pieces of paper.
Now, there's a third option here with the council. If you're uncomfortable doing it right now and need more time, we can budget for this for next spring. We can notify the gentleman, well, he hasn't been here this year, but when he comes, we can tell him that we did budget, we're gonna start a program. That is the third option. Gives more time to think about it, more time for planning and more time for budgeting.
I believe he was here was it May?
Right.
He was here this year, I know, this summer, earlier
Right.
this summer.
I just don't think putting it off another year is gonna.
Well, we can do this, if we put it off until October, I can then have time to go through and take out all the expenses that we've paid for the well project, because we can essentially reimburse ourselves with the proceeds from the bond. So I can go through that and see where we're at.
Would we be able to get something like this done if we're in October?
Oh, yeah.
We have consensus? Wait till
Wait till
October?
October?
Yes, sir.
Well, if we're gonna do that, I think our first thought should be on whether or not we're gonna try and set up a precedence of what are we gonna do from this date on. Not just say, okay, we're gonna fix this, but are we gonna fix something next year and some type of a thought on what we're gonna do, so we have a program going. If we say we're gonna do 10 of them a year or 5 of them a year, right, that takes care of us to a point, you know, so would that satisfy the people? It can only take us, what, 15 years? But I mean, it's going somewhere. If it's 73, you're gonna have a whole different program. You aren't going across that highway.
We won't be doing, I don't see us ever doing 73. Not with that rock bed like that, and it's a state highway. You're talking a major project there, that's huge. I can see us doing the ones that are not affected by bedrock, that's different.
Well, that would be, okay, if we're gonna set up a program that we're gonna go ahead and do so many a year, would have to start with the ones that we know would be okay
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
Then just start moving down the line.
Yeah, that's kind of, to me, I think that'd be the way to go. We would have to do a study. Phil's the one who's got the data where they're at. We're not sure if there's bedrock in all of them or not, but I'm sure some of them you do. We could set up a program and actually get it in a budget like it should be and planned a little bit. I understand this year we can do a couple of council. We're not going to break the bank, and Katie would have to know where we're at though in October. Because every time you go, you spend money outside of your area, it is a write-up, or, the auditor looks at that.
But we can use it
We
for,
can.
with the sales tax or gas franchise money,
Right.
we could do that. So if nothing else, we could just budget $10,000 a year out of the sales tax. It's not that big of a hit. On average, we get between $20,000 and $25,000 a month in sales tax. Some less, some more, but right around there. So we could do that. And that's not that big of a hit to the sales tax, because we also have the gas franchise coming in too.
I think also is once we start fixing these, it's gonna alleviate some of that hassle in the winter for you guys also.
For sure,
You know,
absolutely.
I mean, it might be a slow process, but.
It's a
you know,
start.
It's a start,
For sure.
and taking two off your list right away, that one, you're gonna be working at anyways,
Can you get a line item in the budget yet?
Okay? Do you want me to?
I would like to see it, if everyone would like, Ted would ask for consensus, maybe we could do that as well.
Yeah, consensus.
Do you guys want it out of the sales tax money or out of the water fund itself? Because what I could do is every year kind of see where we're sitting with the water fund, because I'd prefer to keep it in the water fund if we can. But if we aren't doing so hot in the water fund, it would be nice to revert to the sales tax and using some
I
of
think
that.
I think that'd be probably appropriate, yeah.
Does everyone else agree with that? Just kind of see where we're sitting.
Yeah, otherwise it's gonna have to come out of sales tax.
Yep. Okay, so I'll put it in the water fund initially.
You got 20 years to get it done before you retire.
No, I'm just kidding.
I guess then the question is, are we going to go ahead this year with Newberry, or are we going to look at consensus was to look at this differently, or are we going to do it or not?
I thought it was consensus was to put it in the
Put it
budget
in
for
the-
next year.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then it was supposed to come out of the water fund if that's feasible, otherwise it'll come out of the sales tax.
okay. So for this fall, we're not going to do anything,
That was just the first part.
okay.
I would like to make a motion that we do Newberry this year at the low quote.
So together they would be 9,000, both of them.
I'll make that
So
motion.
global excavating,
Yeah, for 926 Newberry and 933 Newberry.
So same thing, would you like me to see where we're at with the water fund? Right now, it just looks terrible because we've had some pretty high contract amounts. So see where we're at and put it out of the water fund if I can. Or if I'm not able, I'll use the sales tax. Does that
Be appropriate.
Does that sound?
all right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now, Phil, just a real quick question. Do we need blacktopping behind this? How big of an area?
I don't know yet. Don't know until we're done.
Okay.
But if his patching goes well,
We watched the YouTube video, we got it.
If you can rent the roller,
It's
This is
so,
bigger
we're
than-
renting it so cheap, it's not even funny.
Okay.
It's, trust me, we can
So
screw a
you
few
guys
up
can-
and get away with it
okay,
very easily.
thank you,
Yep,
appreciate it.
yep.
Moving on to 6D liquor store on sale cooler quotes.
in the 2020 budget, the liquor store has budgeted for a couple cooler replacements just to get on top of some of these items that we know are getting a bit older. And you have in your packet 2 quotes, one from Katam Restaurant Supply and one from the Webstaurant store. Now, it looks like the low bidder is the Webstaurant store.
I got a quick question. Did they replace then the dishwasher?
It is being worked on right now. I believe she ordered it, just waiting on.
A brand new one though?
Yes, yep. And I believe the low bidder there was appliance repair service. So they did not require additional electrical, so we went with that one.
Is there any differences on warranties or maintenance and stuff like that?
You know, I know little to none about the coolers. I could ask, but I don't know.
They're both professional services.
It looks like the one you can buy additional protection,
Yeah.
which is still, I believe, make it under the other quote, even if you did the 3-year.
This was budgeted for too,
It was,
correct?
yep.
I'll make a motion, we accept the low quote of wet
The Webstaurant store.
Do you have a second?
Do you want the protection plan too? 5-year protection plan for 30 or?
I wonder what that all includes.
Yeah, is it just compressor, what is it, and did the other one have a protection plan or not, or an warranty? We don't know.
I'll check and see if, what the protection plan includes.
It still would come under less, even with that 3-year or 5-year. It's still, it comes in, if I'm doing my math right,
Yep.
less than the other one. So I guess I'd check into the,
Yep.
to see what that would cover. And if it's something that you feel,
This one says save $635 by ordering now. Is that $635 off of the $2,230, I wonder?
Nope.
no, because it was retail at $28.66.
Okay.
So we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further questions? Good point though about that. Sure, it's because it kicked in the question about picking it up for 5-year warranty.
I'll see what that all entails.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Quick question that just hit me, Katie.
Yes.
Do you have insurance on this roof? Is the roof covered by insurance?
Everywhere that we cover, or that we have insurance on is covered, so yes, the roof is all covered. I never even thought
The
of that.
leak should be covered
I
then.
never even thought of that. I'll check into that too. I'll add that to Yvonne's list. I just don't ever think of that, I don't know why.
I'm glad we talked about
Yes.
insurance on this,
Yes.
because it hit me. All right, so I did ask for a vote, didn't I?
Good.
It is. I'm just checking everybody.
Making sure everyone's on their toes.
All right, 6E, motor vehicle office, excuse me, it is motor vehicle office, that doesn't sound right. DMV office printer.
Yes, so the current office printer that they have is much too small for what they are doing right now in volume of customers. They're having to order toner like every single month, and like I never have to replace my toner in my office. So they're also going to be having to print the stickers eventually, so they need an additional tray. Yeah, the state's got some crazy changes coming down the pipe. So this is state bid, which is why there's only one quote. And it's basically the bigger version of the machine they have with an additional tray.
Do we own that other printer?
We do. So I was going to see if maybe Phil wanted it. So we'll utilize it somewhere in the city. I just don't exactly know where it's going to go.
So the state changes are requiring us to make a change too.
Well, that and we use,
And it's
yeah,
used a lot.
it is used.
But they give us zero money to help out.
Correct.
With something like this, print a sticker?
Yeah. So the stickers will be on like a piece of paper
Yeah.
with like a sticker on it.
No.
So that's how they've explained it. Like it'll just be a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper with a sticker on it.
Okay.
So you're recommending a lease or purchase?
Purchase. The lease was
You save a year on the price,
very expensive.
you save $600, I think.
Council?
What kind of support do you get with this? Do we have a contract for them?
So anytime it breaks, they'll come and fix it. The only thing that is not included are the paper and the staples. So it says maintenance, break / fix service calls, travel time, labor, toner, parts, and all consumables. Which is this lease is probably better than what we have now because we have to pay for the toner.
I'll make a motion, we approve purchasing the, I don't even say that, motor vehicle office printer for 1817.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6F, Loon Running Hiking Club Race.
So the Loon Running / Hiking Club is putting on a social distance set of races. So I believe is he doing a 5K, a half?
And then full.
So he's doing multiple races. He's been working with Darren on the route and making sure that the DNR knows about this and everything like that. I just wanted to present this to you guys to make sure that it's okay that he used some of the roads and the arena parking lot. He has a lot of precautions in place for face masks when they're waiting around and things like that. Who's he? Rick Bothwell, sorry.
When is this taking place?
Sometime October
3rd,
Okay.
Is that a Saturday, I'm assuming?
yes.
How are we going to control, say, four-wheelers and?
So, yeah, I asked him the same questions because he had to apply for a permit through the DNR, just for that fact that you're gonna have to probably close portions of those trails because you can't have somebody out there running, walking with an ATV coming down there. So I don't know where he's at with the permits. I also talked to DOC for him because part of it's gonna run down the backside of that property between MSOP and DOC, that it wouldn't cause them any problems with their security around there. We're going to obviously make that a no spectator zone, which I don't think anybody would be in there anyway, but it's going to run around the state trail on the backside of MSOP and then come back into town again. They would have to make multiple laps. My concern to him was they're going to be crossing the highway. So it would have to be just like the MS 150, they would have to come across at times, and initially it wouldn't be so bad to get the full group across to get going, but if it's going to be an all-day thing with people coming through, it's going to be a little bit more work. And
I also, he emailed me yesterday that so far 3 people have signed up, so he wanted me to run it, and no. But,
Has he talked to the state agencies?
Yeah, he's talked to them, because he had to apply for the different permits to even run the race to get it. I think he has the one from the DNR on using portions of that.
Yeah, but
trail.
I'm just thinking, just MSOP coming up from behind there. You have people coming in and out of work all day, and they gotta cross that road to get to the trail. That could.
Right,
Wonderful.
yeah.
I also think that he's got volunteers lined up
Yes.
to help with, I'm not sure what, but.
Right,
Well, if you started there too, that wouldn't be as bad.
right. And once they split apart, you have to get 1 or 2 across here and there. Won't be that big of a deal, but depends how many people are
Right.
in the event. But I think he's got a cap too, and I don't know what that number is.
I want to say it's like 75 total between
Yeah.
all of everything.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
it's very small. It's not going to be like a huge, I think eventually he'd like to build it to more of an actual event, but this is the first time, and he's going to take it as a learning experience, I think.
Right.
So what is he looking from us?
Just information at this point.
Okay. And support from our local police, which may cause overtime, I would imagine, if you have to have a couple of people in to cover the crossings at the major highways. Unless they have somebody, sometimes they hire people like from Fond du Lac that are in training to do these things, I don't know.
Correct, yeah, the only thing we have to worry about is that we're having people that have the training and ability to be stopping traffic and dealing with those kind of issues, so that we don't have somebody that's just volunteered to come out there and do that, and then we have an incident and they have no legal or real reason to be doing it, so. But I've been talking, Rick's been over a couple times, we've been going over different things, with them, and parking, and how we're gonna get people across and when, and, so, but.
He also has some signs that say like event in progress or race in progress or something that he's borrowing. So he's gonna put some signage, I would guess, all on the trails and things like that, so.
Okay. So for us, this is informational.
Yes.
All right. Does council have any questions to pass on? Sounds like we already did some. Okay. 6G, Medora quote. Phil?
So you guys can be mad at Phil for this. No, I'm just kidding. It is absolutely nobody's fault besides the lightning. Phil came to work on Monday a few weeks ago, and the mixers are not mixing. So what he did was he got a quote, and this is worst case scenario if they had to replace absolutely everything for the mixers. I will, before I turn it over to Phil, I will say that I am working with insurance to see, we currently do not cover the ponds, which is common, I guess, in municipalities that have sewer ponds, because I have no idea how much it costs. Yvonne's working on that right now, but it's apparently very expensive. So I'm working on what it would look like if insurance did cover this. But regardless, we still need to have this done, and the insurance suggested that we go ahead and start on it because it's going to take a while to schedule with them anyways. So we may have to kind of eat this one, but we'll be hopeful that our insurance information comes back better than what I think it will. Go ahead.
Okay, so mixers. Mixers are the things we put in 2016, 17. It was part of the wastewater project we did. That is what, that's what mixes our chemical for our phosphorus treatment at ponds. So, yeah, came to work 2 weeks ago Monday, I think it was after that bad storm. And you can see up on the pole, one of the fuses were blown open, so we had lost the phase due to whatever it may be. And we've tried the braiding boards, we've tried the transformers, all 3 different transformers that are in there, and there's something else in there. Not a one of them make anything work all together, all apart, singly.
upside down, it don't matter, they don't work.
So
So
spend a lot of time out there.
it's spending,
A lot of quality time.
yeah, and the bugs are really bad right now, so it was a lot of fun. No, but yeah, so that's what they're proposing to fix all these. I don't know, I'm not an electrician. I don't know if it's all or none or parts or this or that or whatever. It's all electrical components that are exploded out of these things, so that's.
And this is from a lightning strike?
This is from, I'm believing a surge, because surge is usually what takes fuses out of poles, which on a phase coming in through a pole or through a transformer to even anyone's house or this building, there's a fuse that goes through there before. And when I came to work that morning, one of them fuses were blown open, which kills the power to the
Probably
service.
lightning strike on a line somewhere. Went down the line, blew our fuse, but the power surge blew the equipment. There is no one control panel for this either, is there? They're
There's
all
one
indi-
main one.
One main one.
Yeah, one main one, yeah.
And,
Took that out too, didn't it?
Well, there's power to it still, now that the power is back on, now there's
Yeah.
power across everything,
Right.
so. This
you
happened
need,
in.
you need them to look at the control panel anyway.
Oh, yeah, this is way out of my wheelhouse, I'm not.
It's all computerized, it's all microprocessed, so this
This
is
happened in
pretty specialized.
2016 with the wells too, remember that?
Right.
Yeah, took out all the controls for all the wells.
And Phil, you are talking to the power company about lightning surge protection?
Yes, sir.
hopefully?
Yes, sir.
To prevent it from happening again?
Hopefully.
Yeah, that was my question.
That's something we talked about right away, is looking at protection for this. Because if it happened now, it could happen again every year.
But what I am doing in the meantime is checking with insurance to see if we could get this covered, if they approve it, and if they approve it, then we would add, well, I'll see how much it'll cost, but I would add the sewer ponds to our policy. I just want to make sure that it makes sense to do that monetarily. I just don't have any clue how much sewer ponds are to cover. But I know that every single time somebody has to go out there and fix it, it's very expensive.
Every time.
So,
Just a question, this Medora, are they the ones who put it in, they own it?
They're nationwide, they're the only ones that deal with them.
Okay, so they have had to have this problem before. They should know what kind of surge protection we need. We should be talking to them about that
Sure.
also, what they recommend and what they've used in other places. So I'm sure this has happened.
I'm wondering why it wasn't done in the first place. If it's happened before.
They may not have anything. They may depend on the power companies. But a lot of these things are, because they're making money.
So we don't have a choice, we have to get it fixed, so.
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we fix it at the cost of $34,143.04.
Have a second? Any other questions? And this comes out of the sewer fund?
Sure.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
I-
Opposed? Motion carried. The last item here, 6H. This is Election Cares Act resolution. Katie?
I came to work on Tuesday and the Carleton County Auditor's Office had emailed me that they are, I'm not sure if it's the Secretary of State or if it's the county, is giving certain election districts money to spend on COVID-related items. She said they were gonna send me a resolution and she hasn't. I don't know when the deadline is, so I would like us to pass a resolution without having the resolution, accepting, it's a little under $900. It's like $890. We just have to pass a resolution accepting it in order to get it. And I just want to make sure we have it done before the deadline. I don't know when it is, but.
I'll make that motion. Okay.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, any Reports or correspondence, Katie?
I don't have anything.
Committee and board meeting minutes, those are to come.
I don't think we had any last month because I was on vacation.
We did have some park board, I'll have to get them from,
Yeah,
from,
she sends them sometimes in.
right.
At the fire department meeting last night, they thought that they were going to be able to keep the levy the same and have no tax increases, so that was good news to hear.
Yeah. That'd be great. Moving on to number 9, announcements. Regular Moose Lake City Council meeting Wednesday, October 14, 4 p.m. right here, Moose Lake Economic Development Authority, Wednesday, September 16th, 12 p.m. in the city conference room. Moose Lake Water and Light Commission regular meeting Tuesday, September 15th, 3 p.m., Water and Light Office. Moose Lake Housing Redevelopment Authority Board, Monday, September 14, 11 a.m., Hillside Manor Office. Moose Lake Area Fire District, Tuesday, October 13th, 6:30, the Emergency Response Center. Moose Lake Park Board meeting, Monday, October 5th, 6:30 p.m. right here. Also, the park board for this month has been rescheduled for this coming Monday because of the holiday this last Monday. So those are the updates. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried, we're adjourned.